It is a stuffed animal. Why would you even do... This specimen is simply confusing me. He arrived at the lab earlier this week, and I have yet to make any headway as to what his motivations are. I placed him in a room with this Yoshi plushie, and just look at this. I don't even know where to start.
What does it mean to be a Nintendo fan? Well, you'd think the only prerequisite would be enjoying Nintendo games and products, and you'd be right. But today, I'm not talking about Nintendo fans. I'm talking about Nintendo fans. There's a big difference. This very vocal minority, or at least I hope it's the minority, has caused distress, annoyance, and an overall resentment among everyone who isn't like them. They're the type of people that are no fun at parties, horrible to have as a partner in a group project, and any other scenario where you wouldn't want to be associated with a person. Just take this example.
You know, maybe murder isn't that bad after all.
This special breed of Nintendo-interested individuals comes out of the woodwork during a variety of occasions, and that's what I want to talk about today. What kind of absurd things do these types of people say, and how do they act when Nintendo happens to do something that doesn't directly adhere to their needs and desires? Let us indulge ourselves in this pile of filth and find the answers for ourselves. I'll hand it over to one of our field members to introduce you to the main attraction.
Our first stop evidently requires some pretty heavy extra equipment. I recommend you protect yourself as well. It can get pretty ugly in here. With that said though, let's head in.
This is field crew member ID number 0074, requesting clearance to provoke.
Clearance granted. Stay safe out there, soldier. Nintendo is such a great company, right?
Welcome to the Nintendo of America Twitter account, our first area of study today. Now, before we dive in, there are a few things you should be aware of. First off, this is an area extremely scarce of positivity. It's sufficient to wear normal clothing for the tweets themselves, but venturing into the replies is what warrants this protective equipment. If you wanted to keep away from negativity, you're in the wrong place, buddy. The only place you're going to avoid that is the news section of your Nintendo Switch menu. Secondly, you need to keep an eye out for a couple different types of other people that may throw you off during your endeavors into this cesspool. The first one being the console war participant. Granted a fate worse than death, these individuals have been trapped in the year 2014, forced to argue endlessly about which console is best when there's already been a clear-cut winner for years. It's best to just ignore these people. They have issues rooted so deeply that your engagement with them will do nothing but make it worse. May God have mercy on their poor souls. Console war fighters are in no way the most dangerous of them all, though. Aside from the huge can of worms that are the Nintendo fans I mentioned earlier, you'll also need to watch out for an enigmatic form of replier I like to call baiters. Baiters are a dangerous breed, as they can disguise themselves as any type of person they want, whether that be the aforementioned console war participants, Nintendo haters, or disgruntled fans. Spotting these baiters requires a considerable amount of experience with them, especially if they know what they're doing. Some things to watch out for are completely exaggerated reactions, unreasonably absurd opinions, and unfounded threats towards Nintendo. You still have to be careful though, because there are still some people so far gone that they sound like a baiter even though they aren't one. But worry not. To avoid any potential conflict, all you have to do is follow this simple rule of thumb.
Do not engage.
Baiters or not, these people feed off attention. Why they constantly want this flow of negativity on a website already full of it is yet to be discovered, but all you need to know is that it is best to keep your distance. With that said though, it's now time to move on to the main event. The non-baiters, non-console warriors. I'm talking about the self-proclaimed Nintendo fans that seem to hate Nintendo. I call them ninsufferables.
It's a stupid name. Trust me, I know. We let the intern pick it.
Well, I thought it was pretty cool.
I thought you went home. What the hell are you still doing here?
I'm going above and beyond by staying late.
For sake. Well, since you're here, why don't you give them the survey of each type of ninsufferable?
Will do, Captain.
Captain?
Here at ChipTec Industries, our ninsufferables live in the most ideal conditions possible. Each of our patients, are given their very own room, ordained with one beautiful end table. In addition, they are able to request Nintendo-related products, merchandise, and even printed photographs at any time for use within their room. Their requests and how they use them assist us immensely in our research process, so we are delighted to be able to offer this service. In addition, each ninsufferable is given a complimentary cellular device, only operational at our discretion of course, with nothing but the Twitter app installed, perfect for our patient's lifestyle. With all of that said though, I think it's about time we move on to our discussion of the patients themselves. Ninsufferables come in a variety of forms, so let's take a look at all of them and discuss what characterizes each one. First, we have entitlement. These people believe that Nintendo was put on this earth to cater to their every need, want, and desire. If any game is announced that isn't exactly what they wanted, they cannot resist the urge to comment something along the lines of, "We did not want this." However, our team is still unable to find out who these people are talking about when they say we. To put it simply, who is we? This is a question our greatest scientists struggle to answer. These individuals believe they are entitled to the game they want and refuse to accept the fact that other game series or genres exist at all. This sort of overlaps with another category of which I will get into shortly. Regardless, the amount of entitlement recorded from these specific ninsufferables is off the charts. Why they are like this is still yet to be confirmed, but we have a couple theories. It's very likely that these individuals live in some sort of proverbial echo chamber, preventing them from getting a pulse on the Nintendo community as a whole. This would explain why they try to speak for the entire fan base, consisting of millions and millions of people, mind you, and always end up being wrong, obviously. They seem to believe that the only games that are popular and or worth giving attention to are the games they like. Truly a delusional state. What makes it even worse is that they're screaming and complaining towards a brick wall, also known as Nintendo's social media manager. I'm not sure if these individuals forgot to take their common sense pills this morning, but the person who runs the Twitter account has absolutely zero say in the development of games or business decisions of the company. Perhaps Nintendo did make a small mistake by putting this blatantly misleading message in their bio, but either way, our research team can only boil this down to a good old case of insanity. Luckily, the social media manager seems unaffected.
I mean, hey, I still get paid at the end of the week.
This category of ninsufferable seems to be satisfied even less than any of the others I will mention soon enough. You would think that if the game they want is finally revealed, they would be content, right? Well, unfortunately, that was a rhetorical question. The answer is no.
Now listen closely, as I am about to give but a small list of excuses an entitled ninsufferable may use whenever their game actually gets announced. Number 1, it took too long. Nintendo simply should have made the game faster. Number 2, it's not their vision. The game wasn't exactly what they imagined in their heads. Nintendo should have read their minds, it's as simple as that. And number 3, not exactly an excuse, but they will often immediately move on to the next game and complain about that not existing. Keep in mind that this is simply a vicious cycle with these people.
Which leads me into the next type, stubbornness. These individuals overlap a bit with the entitled bunch because of their conceited nature. The added caveat with the stubborn ones is the fact that they despise the concept of change. Similar to how entitled ninsufferables can't stand when a game isn't exactly how they imagined in their head, stubborn ones hate seeing their favorite series evolve and grow. In the eyes of the individuals of stubbornness, their thought process is as follows. The game has a different art style for this entry? Series ruined. The game doesn't mechanically function the exact same as its predecessor? They never listen to their fans. The game isn't a direct sequel to a sub-series that had its last entry over 10 years ago? This is the worst company ever. They should skip all the bullshit and just declare bankruptcy now.
I apologize for my language there. I was simply quoting one of the Ninsufferables. I really shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, man. What the f***? In addition, these individuals are also stubborn in which games they will even be willing to play in the first place. To put it simply, they refuse to broaden their horizons. This can be quite problematic in the replies section of any tweet mentioning a game that they don't like. Almost enigmatically, these people seem to think that someone cares that they don't like a game that many others enjoy. Our team is still baffled by their motivations here, but what makes it even worse is that when someone makes the mistake of engaging with any of these individuals and suggesting they try out the game before criticizing it, chaos may ensue.
So, sir, have you ever actually tried any of these games you were calling bad?
I don't need to try them. I only play good games.
It could be a good game. You haven't even played it.
Don't you f***ing tell me what to do.
Alright, sedate him.
Stand clear of the door. Activating remote sedation. Arriving at our final major class of ninsufferable, we have ignorance. Now, we've discovered that ignorance is a crucial trait in any of these individuals, but these types exhibit the behavior on another level entirely. These types of people complain just like any other ninsufferable, but like I said, their main trait is ignorance. They will willingly speak on topics that they know little to nothing about, all while acting as if they are an expert in the field. They will often be seen complaining about a game in a way that any outsider may think is ordinary, but upon further inspection and consultation with actual fans of the games, they actually know very little about the franchise as a whole. It is important to note that these people may have a considerable amount of knowledge on a game series that is extremely popular within Nintendo, i.e. your Marios and your Zeldas, but any series even remotely more obscure than those seem to threaten this certain class of ninsufferables. This smokescreen of fake knowledge may be a defense mechanism to increase their credibility, whether performed consciously or subconsciously, as observed in this dramatization.
I finally did it! I just graduated with a master's in biochemistry. Oh yeah? Well, I did that when I was 7, with 2 full-time jobs, all while raising my 9 other siblings. Plus, both my legs were broken the entire time, which made it pretty difficult considering I had to walk 7 miles uphill there and back to school every single day.
What's even worse is that these individuals usually have no idea how the game development industry as a whole works either, sometimes even getting angry at Nintendo for announcing a game made by another company, citing that they are wasting their time making insert non-Nintendo game here before releasing insert Nintendo game here. That is but one example, however, and the ignorance runs much deeper. When it comes down to it though, something that every class of ninsufferable has in common is unreasonable expectations. Whether that be in how fast a game is developed, the amount of games being developed at once, or the scope of a game in general. As such, this is not in reference to games being released with a lack of content. Ninsufferables will be angry no matter how much content the game contains.
Like I've said, unfortunately we have yet to find any concrete answers as to why they are like this though. However, it almost seems as if... Looks like one of our team members got a little overwhelmed by the ninsufferable. I can't take it anymore! Why don't we take a break from Twitter for now?
Let's take a look at another place where ninsufferables can possibly gather. Nintendo Directs, which are Nintendo's presentations used to announce upcoming titles, are a location in which we can see Ninsufferables gather in very large numbers. Unfortunately, even Nintendo recognizes the toxic nature of these individuals within the live chats of Directs and has sought to censor them after the fact. But we can still find a few relics of their past rants and outrages if we search hard enough. Combining entitlement, stubbornness, ignorance, and unreasonable expectations, the ultimate Ninsufferable is created during these live events. Whether it's spamming the word skip in all caps while the presentation is showing a game they don't like, even though it is obvious that the presentation was pre-recorded and is simply playing back on a live stream, or before the presentation starts, spamming the name of a game they want to see as if it will manifest into existence within the, once again, pre-recorded presentation. On the same side of the coin, at the end of the presentation, they will usually say something along the lines of, "So no insert game here?" This statement has especially confused us here at the lab. They are informed that the presentation is over and should be fully aware as such, but still continue to make these statements. Truly a baffling prospect. With the survey of the Ninsufferables complete, we here at ChipTec Industries would like to issue this disclaimer to all who joined us today. Our study and condemnation of the Ninsufferable phenomenon does not by proxy mean we support Nintendo and their business decisions. At ChipTec, we firmly believe in the concept of a gray area, meaning while we do think Nintendo has made plenty of questionable moves throughout their history, we also believe the Ninsufferables are often living within a seemingly dystopian delusion when it comes to the severity of these situations, bringing about unwarranted cases of, well, entitlement, stubbornness, ignorance, and unreasonable expectations.
Hey, intern. We got a new...
I have no idea what any of this means.
Hey! What? Oh. Hello, Captain. We got a new specimen in that I want you to see. Let's go. Woo! What kind is it this time? Entitlement? Stubbornness? Or maybe even ignorance? I didn't hire your ass to ask questions. Now meet me in the observation room ASAP or I'm docking your pay.
Well, you never paid me in the first place, but...
Shut the up! Sorry.
Okay, so what am I looking at here?
This new specimen is unlike anything we've ever seen. We can't even call it an insufferable. It's honestly the complete opposite of one.
What do you mean, opposite?
Just take a look. Turn on the sound for me, please.
Sure thing.
Oh, this is only $60? Don't mind if I do. Oh, this is $60 too? Wow. I'll take it.
I see. Well, what are we gonna call this one?
That's already been established. We're calling them Nintendrones.
Very fitting.
Yeah, way better than anything you would come up with. Anyways, I was thinking about bringing an Insufferable into his room. I feel like we could gather some valuable information from their interactions. Are you sure that's a good idea? Won't know until we try. Oh, hey! Do you love Nintendo too? What? No! Nintendo is the worst company of all time! What did you just say? You heard me! They haven't released a Mario game in 27 days! Now what does that say about the company to you? That's where I draw the line, bucko! Why I oughta... Oh, it's on. Alright, it's about to get physical. Get them out. Hold on. They're not fighting. What are they doing then? Are they just gonna spew insults across the room forever?
Precisely.
What? This'll show him.
I should have known. Truly remarkable. So my theory holds true, even when they're in the same room together.
Don't you worry.
They're not gonna hurt you. Not on my watch.